Hello, welcome back. We're continuing our Principles of Design project. In the first video, I showed you how to create the sections of the paper and create the words, principles in bubble letters. For this next video, I'm going to show you how to do some of the different designs here. I'm not doing all of the designs exactly that I did on this example in this video because that would take a lot of time, but you're welcome to experiment around, and you do not have to do the examples that I'm doing in this video. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and label them. I'm going to label each section so I know which principle is going into which section, and that way I don't repeat myself. So I'm going to put unity here. Contrast, balance, emphasis, pattern, movement, rhythm. Okay, yours do not have to be in this order. You can put them however which way that you want. I just found that this is the best way for my setup that I'm going to do. So let's start with something really easy. Let's start with rhythm. Rhythm is something that repeats like over and over and over, but it doesn't have to be in a pattern. And rhythm repeats enough to give the illusion of movement. So movement and rhythm really go hand in hand. So for this one, I'm thinking of like a ripple effect. So if I drop a pebble into the water creates a ripple. And that's kind of what I'm going to simulate here, except I'm going to use a heart. So I'm going to start with a little heart, and then around it I'm putting a bigger heart. And I'm just going to continue that. Okay, and notice I have repeated something. I've repeated this heart over and over and over and over. However, there is no pattern with this, okay? Because it does not go back to big, small, big, small, big, small. It just keeps getting larger and larger and larger and larger, which creates the illusion of movement. It kind of looks like it's radiating out. So that is an example of rhythm. For this example here, I used triangles. And I repeated the triangles over and over and over and over. Some are longer, some are shorter, and they're all different colors. There's no pattern. However, the thing that's repeated is the triangle. So however you want to create rhythm, that is up to you. Next one I'm going to do is unity. So unity is one that's hard for students to understand, even though it's very simple. Unity is just something that demonstrates that all of your elements of art and all of your principles of design are working together to create a successful picture. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a series of shapes, and I'm going to repeat them in various ways, but I'm going to change direction and pattern with them. You'll see what I'm talking about. So notice I'm using this repeated circle. I'm transferring it throughout the design, and then I'm using a series of semicircles, so half circles, and I'm changing the direction of them. Okay, and I will go ahead and color those in. I'm not going to do that on the video, but I will color those in, probably all in black, to really make them stand out. For my example that I pre-created, Unity, I just used this repetition of trees, okay? Repeated the branches, repeated the tree, but made them smaller so they look like they're going back in space. Used a soft color palette and created this nice background so it looks like the sun is setting almost. And then this shadow of trees that complement it. So again, Unity is when you're using those elements of art correctly to make your picture successful. The next principle of design we'll do is contrast. So let's look at this one. So for contrast, contrasts are opposite. So you can use light and dark, big and small, black and white. I'm going to use opposites on the color wheel. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw my picture first. We'll see if you can guess what I'm drawing. So hopefully you've guessed that this is a wave. And then some mountains. And then behind the wave, we're going to have the sun. So there's a lot going on here. And this could serve as Unity as well. This could also serve as a lot of different colors. So that's why we want to make sure that we label it. So when I'm grading your project, I know what you're looking at, which one I'm looking at. So for contrast, I'm going to use opposites on the color wheel. So I'm going to use blue and I'm going to use orange because orange and blue are opposites on the color wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and color my wave blue. I'm going to leave the top white because that's the foam. And then with my sky, I'm going to color my sky orange because those are opposite colors. And notice how they really pop. They really stand out. And that's what complementary colors do. They complement each other. So you can already tell that those two look really nice together. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and make this darker. And then I can make the mountains really light, a light blue. So that way I am still filling up the whole space with color. So opposite colors look really nice together when they're dry. When you mix them, if they're wet. So if I mix blue and orange together when they're wet, I'm going to make brown. So I want to avoid that with wet media. But if I'm using dry things like crayons or markers, they'll look good together. The next one I'm going to show you is balance. In balance, there's 3 different types of balance. There's symmetrical balance, which means it's the same on both sides. Asymmetrical balance means it's not the same on both sides. And radial symmetry means it's the same all the way around. So, for example, if I cut this picture in half here, it has symmetrical balance. It's the same thing on both sides. However, this picture has asymmetry, which means if I cut it in half, it's definitely not the same on both sides because I have a wave on this side and then mountains on this side. So for my balance, I'm going to do something really simple. I'm going to, let's see, first I'm going to divide my paper in pencil. And I'm going to do a butterfly because that's probably one of the easiest things that you can do to show symmetry. I'm trying to make them the same on both sides. Trying my best. Okay. Now, if I want to put a design on this wing, I should put the same design on this wing. And when I color these, I would also color these at the same color. Okay, so this is just an easy way to show balance. Okay, I could also do something where I cut the paper, split the paper in half and make it not the same on both sides to show asymmetrical balance. In the last video, I'm going to show you how to create the last three: emphasis, pattern, and movement.